Today we'll bring you a special report on real estate in Nigeria, which is the country's third largest sector after trade and crop production following the rebasing of the GDP. Lagos is the crown jewel in a sector that contributed 41.3 trillion naira to the GDP in 2024. In this special report on the builders of modern Lagos, Arise Business Correspondent spoke to the movers and shakers in the public and private sector of the Lagos luxury skyline. Enjoy it.
Lagos, Nigeria's mega city, one of the biggest urban centers in Africa, a vast, restless metropolis of 18 to 20 million souls. This is the commercial heart of the country, the place where money, labor, risk, and ambition collide at full speed. The city alone is a $250 billion economy, measured on a purchasing power parity basis. For decades, Lagos grew the way boom cities often do, outwards. It swallowed land, stretched roads beyond their limits, and pulled in millions of people chasing work, status, and survival. It grew low and wide, impoverished, crowded, alive. Now, the shape of the city is changing. Lagos is no longer only spreading across the swamps and the mainland. It is climbing into the sky.
This is something else. Oh, I gotta get this.
Look out across Lagos and you can see the city changing shape in real time. Not just spreading, as it has for decades, but rising. Tower by tower, crane by crane, a new skyline is taking from here, built by developers, engineers, investors, architects, and thousands of workers chasing an idea of what modern Nigeria should look like. These buildings are more than concrete and glass. They are statements of ambition. They tell a story about money, power, taste, and confidence. They tell a story about a city determined to announce itself to the world. Take a boat ride on the Lagos Creek and the transformation is clear to see. Huge towers, luxury apartments, and high-rise developments are rising at remarkable speed.
All of this used to be empty. There was nothing here. And then leadership in Lagos had a vision. Waterfront property is attractive. Sights and sounds. And then, of course, permits. The permits had to change. And then here we go.
Cranes hang over the skyline like a second city. And this is not happening by accident. A perfect storm has formed. Investors are looking for returns. Developers are chasing prestige. Builders are pushing capacity. Politicians are selling modernity. And a wealthy class of buyers are determined to own a piece of the Lagos of tomorrow. Together, they're redrawing the horizon of Nigeria's most important city.
A lot of people are investing in real estate, and one thing is happening. The Nigerian naira is becoming more of a convertible currency. Therefore, whether you invest in naira, invest in real estate in Nigeria, invest in London, invest in New York City, invest in Frankfurt, the unit of account is the dollar. And so you find rents in Lagos, especially in Lagos, some parts of Abuja, are now denominated in dollars or dollar equivalent. So what do you have? You have a lot of speculative investors, real investors, money laundering investors, and all the others, all investing in one common denominator, real estate.
What is being built here is more than real estate. It's an argument about power, about taste, about status, about what a modern African city should look like. To their champions, these towers are proof that Lagos has arrived. proof that Nigerian ambition can build on a world scale. And there's truth in that. The engineering is real. The capital is real. The transformation is real. But behind every polished facade is a complicated story of sweat, and steel, of money, and myth, of towers rising over a city still wrestling with the terms of its own future. I'm Rhoda Sudiri, and I'm here to meet the master developers who are pouring billions into transforming Lagos skyline. These are the builders of modern Lagos, staking fortunes on the promise that this city's future will be taller, richer, and more powerful than its past.
Yeah, this is where we started from.
Wow.
1984, although the picture dates to 1988, but we actually came to Nigeria in 81, and we set up the business in 1984 from that building. Second floor, if you see that aluminium window there. And it was the only AC in the building.
From modest beginnings, El Alan Group has emerged as one of the most influential developers in Lagos. They helped spearhead the city's shift towards a more vertical future, championing the kind of bold, high-profile projects that now define the modern skyline.
Wow. You guys have come a long way. Since then.
But it took 45 years. It wasn't overnight.
I understand. I see. Wow. That is really impressive. And to think of where things are now, coming from there, that's a lot of growth.
Yeah, but Lagos has also grown.
Yes, indeed.
And it has evolved. So when I first came, behind Eko Hotel was just sand.
It's just sand.
There was nothing. Here there used to be something they called Morocco. It was shanty towns.
Really?
Nothing. Lekki did not exist. There was nothing after that. Nothing.
Wow.
Look at it now.
So much expansion. Wow. And you know, your company has been, part of this expansion and part of this growth since then.
Yes.
So can you talk about how luxury real estate contributes to the modern look of a city? Your properties have been very much part of that story. How does that come together?
So it's a natural growth. I mean, it's evolution. All cities start small. I mean, in Paris you have Ile-de-France, and then later it grew, and the new buildings overtake the old ones. Although the old ones remain, unlike in Lagos. I mean, the old buildings have really deteriorated, but it is natural evolution. And what we've discovered is that we, Nigerians, obviously, who love luxury, they've helped us to realize these things. So they've discovered that, okay, we can produce here locally what they have seen in Dubai, what they see in New York, what in this and that. So this is what has helped it. And we started this development. I mean, we started earlier developments. We did Tango Towers and so on and so forth. But this one was the landmark development, number 4. And once they saw this, everybody now wanted to replicate it. We've got so many people calling us to do this and that. We have our own developments. We're developing for other people. And all of them have to be landmark. Everybody comes to you and says, look, I want a landmark project. And this is typically Nigerian. It has to be the best.
They all want the unique experience that you've had, right?
Has to be the best, has to be the highest.
Yeah.
Not too expensive, but anyway.
Now, I have to ask you about the company and the designs, the architecture and the conceptualization. It's all in-house, or you?
So we started by outsourcing. Now we are doing everything in-house.
Okay.
We do all the concepts in-house, and we outsource the details. We don't have all the capacity to do detail here, but we outsource locally the details to architectural firms. So we have a network of firms with whom we work, but the concepts are done in-house. So the artistic view of the project is done in-house.
Are we able to see any of your other plans or your expansion plans?
You can see them from here. This is something we are doing for Mr. Ovia.
Okay.
Metropolitan Tower.
Right here, okay.
This building there the one with the two cranes,
Yes,
is
yeah.
39 Bordelon. This is our own development, the same Kaizen Properties, the same developers that did this project is doing that project.
Okay.
The one across the road from it,
Yeah.
next to the white building, is another development that we're doing called Mandalan, is a JV with Mandelas. If you go further down the road, we have Peace Tower that we're doing for another client. That brown and gray development is one of the first developments we did, Tango Towers.
Oh, wow.
2012.
Okay.
So now Tango Towers looks really tiny compared
Compared to the other buildings. Amazing. So I guess looking into the future, do you see further expansion for Lagos, further modernization,
Yeah,
further
of course.
changes in the buildings?
Of course, this is just with the population and a dynamic population like the Nigerian one. You have the whole of Eko Atlantic that is still untapped. You can see it from here.
There's still so much development to come. So you've been here since the 1980s with that iconic building you showed when you all started. So with what you've observed for over 40 years now, the building here, what would you say that Lagos has that attracts this capital and investment for real estate and the likes?
So what I've seen is that anytime you have problems elsewhere in the Federation, everybody comes back to Lagos. So you have community problems in the Niger Delta, capital comes back to Lagos. Problems in Port Harcourt, comes back to Lagos. Kano, Kaduna, Abuja, everybody comes back to Lagos. Expats, all the schools are here. And this is really this is where people go around the schools. This is your captive. This is the anchor. Your anchor tenant is the school.
Right.
Everybody needs to be 30 minutes from that school, no more. So there's nowhere else in Nigeria comparable to what we have in Lagos in terms of security, in terms of security of money, investment. You have a vibrant market and resale market. So yeah. For now, I don't think there's anywhere else. So Nigeria has a humongous potential. There is nothing that is impossible in Nigeria and for Nigerians. Every Nigerian thinks things will change overnight. And the market potential is humongous. It just needs consistency, time, and that attention to detail, and you have to carry on. But there is nowhere where you can have opportunities like you have here. Many people are leaving, but the opportunities are here. The entry level is very high. So I have many friends Nigerians from abroad who want to come back. For them to come back, if they don't have a capital, if they don't have families that set them up in nice places, cars and this and that, they can't do it on their own. It's impossible. You cannot come and rent a one-beddy and take public transport and this and that like you would do in London. But if you come and you have some family backup, the sky is the limit. Whatever, whether it's fintech, industry, services, you name it, if you do it well.
Opportunities are bound. You just have to have an anchor, support anchor.
You just have to have an anchor, that vision, that consistency, and just carry on, do it. It will happen.
We've seen the polished face of Lagos luxury. Now it's time to leave the lobbies behind and head out onto the water. Because the story of this new skyline does not begin in marble hallways or sail suites. It begins here, on the choppy edge of the Atlantic, where Lagos decided that if the ocean was going to threaten its future, it would push back. What followed was an act of engineering and ambition on a grand scale. A huge tidal barrier, new land reclaimed from the sea, and the birth of an entirely new waterfront district.
This, of course, is the famous Eko Atlantic properties, a crown jewel, if you will, in the real estate market in Lagos. American Embassy, a number of businesses, all taking up positions here. The promise is to unlock a whole lot of value.
Eko Atlantic is part protection scheme, part property play, part vision of the future. And as more towers rise behind its seawall, it has become one of the clearest expressions yet of what modern Lagos wants to be. The best way to explore this vast 10 million square meter site is from the air. We see roads, towers, and infrastructure beginning to take shape. The plans remain huge, from luxury residential schemes to a new 43-story headquarters that could become one of the tallest buildings in Nigeria. Eko Atlantic is still unfinished, but it already tells you something important about modern Lagos. This is a city no longer content to grow only by improvisation. It wants to build its future on an epic scale.
The real estate sector had been undervalued for a long time. Why? Because the conventional logic meant that people tried to remit money out of the country, and the store of value was better in dollars than in naira. So come 2022, 2023, there was a shift in emphasis. The naira got stabilized in the foreign exchange market. Inflation began to moderate, and therefore real estate, especially in the big urban Lagos or the greater Lagos, became a better store of value. So that has happened, and basically for 4 reasons. 1, real estate is a hedge against inflation. 2, it's a politician's paradise. Thinks about that, and you invest in real estate, and then when elections come, you unload, and that's happened. And 3, the fact that real estate is cyclical. When an economy is growing, real estate grows faster. When an economy is in decline, real estate declines faster. So all of these attributes have played into the benefit of those who are investing in real estate. But real estate is broken down into land ownership, development of infrastructure, and then the building itself, and then the exit, which is what people do.
As the drone fights the wind and drops back onto the deck, you get a small sense of what this moment demands: nerve, precision, and a belief that the risk is worth it. That, in many ways, is the story of Lagos real estate today. Confidence is returning, capital is moving, and the city's future is being shaped by those willing to place big bets on what comes next. Back on dry land, we've been invited to take a look at the Cuddle in Ikoyi, an almost finished luxury development rising prominently above the city. From the all-marble interiors to the high ceilings and expansive apartments, everything here speaks of elegance, ambition, and attention to detail. The Cuddle is a striking example of the new generation of high-end living now helping to redefine Lagos skyline.
So this is an incredibly grand reception area. Well, where are we walking up to right now?
So basically what we're doing is we're walking to the main reception area. You know, we've got like 3 levels of reception. We've got the first level, so you park on the lower floor, you come in through there. This is the second level reception, and then as you can see, this is the main reception level where we're walking up to. That is the reception level that houses or that accommodates everybody coming into the building, and then it distributes people, you know, to the various aspects of the building that you're heading to.
My. So this is for a residence, yes?
Yes, this is what we call our Palace series.
Appropriately named.
Yes, so we have a 5-bedroom here, which is almost 2,500 square meters of space. It has its own pool and the fantastic view of the Lagos skyline. Literally from here, you can see almost the entire Lagos city.
So who is the typical clientele here? We're talking about the
Well, some would,
1% of the 1%, yes? Is that?
some would say the 1% of the 1%, but we have a distinct clientele that actually likes what we do. This is a client that appreciates good living, has their own lifestyle, has a desire for luxury city living, and then we don't use the term luxury loosely. We've actually made sure that we have everything that you need to survive in Lagos City right here at 8 Bodilon Road, Ikoyi.
Wow.
So this is Lagos. It's actually beautiful.
And I guess this is when the Lagos Governor Sanwo-Olu and the rest of his cabinet talk about a modern Lagos. This is, I mean, you of course are a private company, but this I guess ties into what the government sees as the future of Lagos, right? As far as the modern city is concerned.
Lagos can compete with any city in the world, most definitely New York. And with the new government approval to build 25 floors along the Bodilon, Alexandra and Gerrard stretch, we're going to be seeing vertical units coming up within the near future. This is how Lagos is going to start to live.
That's okay, yeah. So we talk about that, the approval 25 and up. I guess what is that? The higher, the better as far as the experience. Why is that? Because you're taller than even some of the other structures that are coming up right now. So what's...
Yes, we were the truly tallest residential building for quite a while. And I think on this axis we will remain still very high for the near future. So basically, Lagos being a metropolitan city, there's just a new drive for you to live within very exciting means. Of course, we do have a little bit of space, so people are going up, but that's not going to take away from smaller horizontal communities that will be going for the middle markets. But you do have people who are empty nesters now, who want to just basically reduce their space and how they live, which is why everybody is going up.
And funny thing is, this isn't even the tallest point of the building.
Definitely not.
More floors.
So we're actually 25 floors, over 110 meters high.
Exactly, and part of the whole idea for the Lagos megacity is in areas like Eko, where land is limited, there isn't the opportunity to spread horizontally. So the only thing you can do is to go vertical. And good enough, Lagos State has allowed, has increased the approval limit such that you can go higher. Before, probably the maximum you could do was 10 floors, but now with the new approval, such that you can go 110 meters all the way up, then you can have things like this, high rises coming up, and then you're going to have lots of them coming up.
Wow, well, that is indeed quite impressive. So it looks like, as you said, Lagos is competing with the New Yorks and Londons. This is what we can expect going forward as far as where luxury is.
Definitely.
The volatility of recent years, Nigeria's economic mood has begun to shift. Inflation has started to decelerate. The Naira has looked more stable, and the wider reform story has given investors a reason to look again. In Lagos, that is feeding a more bullish view of real estate, especially at the top end, where developers are betting that wealth, prestige, and scarcity will keep driving demand.
If it was not rewarding, people would not be building it. So generally speaking, I think real estate remains a viable investment because of the near convertibility of the currency. It doesn't matter whether I buy a property in Park Avenue, right, or in downtown Manhattan, New York, or I buy somewhere in Knightsbridge in London, or somewhere in Rue de Rivoli in Paris, or I'm on Queens Drive or Osborne's corner of Lagos. If the returns are the same, then I'm oblivious of what the location is. All I'm looking at is that how long will there be stability in this market before and when do I get my return?
Lagos real estate boom did not simply rise on its own. Behind the new skyline were important changes in policy, planning, and regulation. These shifts help open the door to the kind of large-scale developments now transforming the city. To understand how that happened, I've come to the State House to speak to the Executive Governor of Lagos.
The outlook is great for me. The outlook is great. I see the Lagos skyline that will be masked with, high-end development, of whatever size, 20 floors, 30 floors. And it's needed, that's the vision that I see. I see that on certain corridors, and I know that the market is there. I know that the interest of the citizens are there. So it's really for our investors to know that the market is ripe, the market is real, the construction companies are ready, the knowledge, the skills are available, right? So all of it mixed that will make it work here. And so there's no better time but now. So what I see a future of where, Lagos compete, on the skyline with the Manhattan, with what you see in very high developed, cities of Los Angeles or even Chicago, on anyone, and that's the Lagos of our dream. What are we doing to encourage, investment, public sector investment, private sector investment, especially in the real estate business? You know too well that, the gap, of housing shortage, real estate shortage, either on the commercial side or on the resident side, it's really, really short. We've got, hundreds of thousands of, things to catch up with, even key rooms for hotel, and rest. So the whole gamut, as big as the city is, we expect, to have a lot more, both on the luxury end, on the medium income side, and also even in the very low, mass housing side. So there's a shortage in all of them. But your specific question is, how are we intervening? What policies are we doing? And I'm sure, your interest is actually around the high-end luxury. It's been a deliberate policy for us, to build first the infrastructure. And what do you mean by infrastructure? Build the road connection. Put a lot of regentrification around areas where you can now see private investment coming into the space, So we took a view, not my government started it, but even the government before me, where we had redesigned, the usage on certain streets in Ikoyi, in Victoria Island, to medium to high density, to high rise up to about 100 meters high, which will take about 30, 35 floors. It was very deliberate, because if the value of those land are now pretty very high, what is the commercialization that you need to put on it for the investor to make sense? That's one. But more importantly, how do you also meet the housing deficit? That is, and this is driven by study, by our finding. What has been the trend over a couple of years, where you have very young, smart, forward-looking Nigerians, Lagosians, who either were diasporans, who want to have, a one-bedroom or a two-bedroom luxury flat in an hybrid area, and who maybe their parents also want to throw something there. So there is a market for that, and we need to create, that policy that will ensure that that market thrives and do well. So if you go around Ikoyi or Vienna, you probably will notice all the cranes, almost like 15, 16, 17 skyscrapers coming up, very intentional, on certain streets. But what you will also see is that we've done extensive road rehabilitation, on those highways. So what we now need to work with the developers is to see how the ingress and the outgress of such development does not impair transportation, how it doesn't impair movement of other road users on that corridor. So that's what is our major primary, responsibility. So on Bodilon, for example, or maybe, you take, Zumbambade, for example, when you have your structures coming up, is to ensure that they have enough setback to ensure that when cars or vehicles are coming into such properties, that they do not obstruct the flow of traffic, on those kind of highways, and similarly with our. Once you're able to do that, what you're doing is you're unlocking, investment. You're unlocking, people that either will just keep their money, in the bank to bring those investments out for other people, and people that also have investment, options abroad who also want to come. So apart from we meeting some of those local markets, the diasporan market is also very huge. Lagos, like you see, is one of the top 10 cities worldwide now that are in global competitiveness. So global competitiveness, you look at, how well those people get access to different types of, property, how well do you get, short-let commercial properties, how well can the state or the city respond, to the needs, maybe at a certain time when people come around, so there's a lot of dynamism that comes around it. So we've thought of it, and we're willing and ready to support, investors, investments in these critical areas. Of course, we're not also forgetting other middle level and other low land, mass housing needs. So it's a whole full spectrum. But for us, we've been very intentional, we're very deliberate to ensure that our policies encourage those investments. Our policies ensure that, people can bring safe, investment back into Lagos in real estate space and see the development and the return on investment, on those things. So it's a win-win for everybody. Lagos helps you, keep those investments. The citizens, they said, well, it's a bit pricey. I understand, some of these things will also come at some bit of, but at some point, it's a function of demand and supply. You are an economist yourself. Once the supply gets to an end, which there is, you bring down the price. It's market forces. You bring down the price down. Nobody will tell you that an apartment where they are charging you 30 million will come down to 50 million if the supply is more than is there. So it's a catch-22. Which one comes first? The investment comes first before you talk of, regulating, price. So as a government, we're watching, but we don't want to be a disincentive, to investors. We want to continue to let Lagos skyline compete, with the New Yorks of this type or with any other global city of its status, And because you also know that the land size, in Lagos, it's not something that you can further develop. It's very restrictive. It's the smallest, tiniest city-state in the country, 3,600 square kilometer. It's just like a dot. It's less than 0.45% of the total land mass of this country. 0.45. And of that, 1/3 of it is also water. Crisscrossing the lagoon and the rest. So what we're dealing with is really just about 0.32% of the total landmass of the country, in which this whole population needs to come in. And Rotus, people will make a choice and say they want to live in Ikoyi, they want to live in Via, they want to live in Lekki. It's a choice that, as a government, we also need to make those realities come to play. So we continue to play everywhere and continue to create a policy that will encourage investment and will see it through to the end.
Banana Island in Ikoyi was one of the first great prestige developments of modern Lagos. It was an enclave that helped define elite waterfront living in the city. It set the tone for a new kind of aspiration: private, planned, secure, and unmistakably exclusive. Now, just next door, Orange Island is trying to build on that idea for a new generation. A reclaimed waterfront district designed not only for luxury, but for a more carefully planned, more environmentally conscious standard of living. Right now, it may not look like much, but I've come to meet a developer who has big plans for this island.
So, can you tell us where we are at with this nice lagoon or lake, rather?
Yeah, of course. So right now we're actually right at the center of Orange Island in the Lekki Lagoon district in Lagos, Nigeria, of course. It's over 150 hectares of master planned estate, very comparable to another estate a lot of people will know.
Named by another fruit.
Another fruit, there you go, called Banana Island. It's actually a public-private partnership, the estate and the island itself, with Lagos State, as well as Orange Island Development Company. So, they like their fruits when it comes to Lagos
State. They do. Healthy living.
Yeah.
So, when we think about a modern Lagos, a modern city, how would the projects and the properties that are going to be coming up here, how would all that contribute towards that vision?
Absolutely. So really, when it comes to modern real estate, especially in an emerging economy like Nigeria, the number one thing is control, or what we would call controlled growth. So that tends to start with these type of master planned estates. They almost act as, vacuum sealed spaces in which you can monitor everything very closely, the building guidelines, the setbacks, the drainage systems, and the power usage, and so on. And modern cities, in any modern city really, major ones like Dubai, Singapore, New York, and so on, these estates, or the city, really grows within a controlled master plan. And that's what Orange Island represents within Lagos. It's just that control and understanding of what your neighbor is building as well as what you're allowed to build.
And what about your properties? Are you guys, is it commercial, residential? Yeah. How does that fit into that whole vision of a modern city?
Of course. So with our properties, specifically at Compound, we've come from a long line and long time of working with some of the biggest private and institutional developers as part of Fine and Country West Africa. But a large part of where we saw a gap with Compound Africa is now bringing into the mindset and into the market design-led real estate. And that's really the most important factor. Within controlled environments, you're actually producing properties that are not just aesthetically pleasing, or not even just structurally sound, but also respond correctly to our environment and the climate that we actually reside in. And I think that's what's really been missing in Lagos, and what a lot of consumers and property owners are really tired of.
Now, look, this is luxury, and there's been the question of the income divide between the higher ups and so on, and there's, I guess, worries that as more developers come out, the more wealthy in society. Do you worry about that balance at all? When I know you're in this, your market would be catering to the top 1%, but as you think about these developments, gathering steam, do you spare any thoughts for that? For that?
Of course, and for me, there's no such thing as luxury real estate that doesn't contribute to two major factors. One, that it is climate responsive, and two, that it is crafted. It has craftsmanship at the center of it. So, and that really reacts across the spectrum of socioeconomic balance in terms of real estate. Every single property that comes into the market really should harbor those two major factors, whether it's a 50 square meter apartment or a 500 square meter villa. So really what we're focusing on at Compound, we haven't used the word luxury or high end or even premium in any of our marketing language, but we're still building on the higher ends of the socioeconomic scale in terms of real estate. But people are responding to that. Why? Because they're looking at what's on the market. Is it design-led? Is it actually built for us, for Africans within a tropical environment? Most of them aren't. And that's where we've chosen to hedge our bets, that people want to live in spaces that are actually designed for them.
Great stuff. Now, you mentioned climate and the environment. There's a sign there that says people should watch out for crocodiles in this lake. As far as the environment is concerned, I guess as properties like this expand further out, the environment is still kept as a priority. 100%. Yes, going forward.
100%. The environment is really the number one benefactor when it comes to actually trying to create new real estate, especially in tropical environments. I mean, Orange Island itself was engineered by some of the best firms within the country and actually internationally as well. I mean, everything from the drainage to the lake. The lake actually acts as a natural drainage system connecting the entire island. Each street name is named after a Nigerian bird. It's just some of those aesthetic but also infrastructural practices that ensure that the climate is really kept within bounds. So across the island, and hopefully in many more estates and Lagos at large to come, we're keeping that in mind, 100%. In terms of the profile, I think that's actually the most important part, really. A lot of the people that we've seen interested in this, of course, a lot of people talk about the diaspora, and that's a large market in regards to who has been specifically interested in Orange Island. They want the same feel as that they've got overseas in terms of the living and the lifestyle. But also a lot of locals, especially people that have been living in places like Lekki Phase 1, even some in Ikoyi and so on, are just, in some words, ashamed of how the infrastructure around them has grown to not be substantive, are looking at Orange Island and master planned estates because they provide a new frontier for people to actually live the lifestyle that they've been wanting to. The luxury sector, I mean, when you look at any type of commercial structures or in any economy, people move where the money moves, right? The margins within luxury is really where the divide comes. So largely, a lot of investors, as well as a lot of developers, are moving into the luxury sector because they see their margins for the effort that's put in. Because if I'm building a G+2 home in wherever, it's going to take the same amount of effort technically. So why not do it when my margins are larger? But I think what a lot of investors tend to miss within that scenario is that at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on your future, the outcomes that come in the future. How somebody ends up living in your home for the next 2 to 5 years and more actually dictates what a sustainable business is. So even if I'm building affordable housing, that housing has to be steeped in craftsmanship and proper infrastructure. So the margins in the short term might be nice, but I'd rather take a hit on my margins in the short term and build something that lasts than actually focus on just the luxury sector and building a template design.
Final question for you. So
Yeah, please.
the future, what do you think the luxury real estate market looks like in Lagos? Is it going to continue to expand? Is it going to be, how do you think that works out?
Yeah, so again, the name of the game for any real estate, not even just luxury, is controlled growth, right? And craftsmanship. So whether or not we're looking to build higher value homes, whether or not we're looking to build, complexes, retail, commercial, all of it has to be design-led and it has to be crafted with the correct infrastructure. And that's really where we're focusing a lot of our market and time at Compound, is understanding what design-led really means within our context. Luxury real estate will continue to grow, of course. The same thing with affordable housing. The demand is obviously there. We don't think that's the point. We think the point is, how do we actually control each of these unique properties that we're designing so that people can pass these down? I mean, that's why somebody buys a Rolex. They don't just buy it because it's aesthetically pleasing, but because they know that it's coming with the highest version of craftsmanship, and they'll be able to pass that down to their son. Their son will be able to pass that down to his son, and so on and so forth. Same thing with properties. If I can't pass down my property to my children and their children's children because it wasn't designed for our environment,
what's the point?
What's the point of even buying?
Chuka Okonjo, thank you so much for the conversation. Managing Director over at Compound.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What Chuka is describing is the logic behind the boom. In a city where confidence has often been fragile, predictability matters. The clearer the rules, the stronger the planning, the easier it is for investors to commit and for developers to build at scale. In Lagos, that confidence is now being written onto the skyline.
There's no question that what's happening here is impressive. The engineering, the scale, the ambition. It's hard not to be struck by it. In many ways, these towers represent the confidence of a new Lagos. Global, vertical, and ambitious. But cities are never only built in steel and glass. They're also built in the lives people can afford to live inside them. And that is the tension running through this story. As the skyline rises, so too does the question of who gets to belong in the Lagos of the future.
This is how every luxury development begins, with mud, machinery, and men working under the hot sun to build what no one will ever really see, the foundation.
Can you talk to us about what the expertise in piling? You can describe piling and what that means towards the structure.
Well, pile foundation are heavy-duty foundation to carry superstructures, high-rise, bridges, heavy-duty bridges, high-rise, tall buildings. That's the essence of pile foundation. It gives the ground stability to carry heavy-duty buildings. And that is what trading foundation is specialized in. We do only piling. And for Bank Road here, we are installing 72 piles, 800 diameter. We are going 42-meter length down the ground. Yeah, so these 72 piles, we carry this structure that about 13 floors structure to carry it and give it a solid foundation so that there is no settlement in the building.
So basically, there are some buildings in Lagos. We know we've heard the news about buildings collapsing. So what is that due to weaker piles? Are there buildings here that are sitting on weaker piles?
There are many things that can cause that. Sometimes maybe not because of the pile, but maybe over-design. Maybe the people building the structure itself put more load on it than it's necessary, because some of them do that also. But also if they design the foundation is weak, it will also affect the structure.
And that matters, because in construction, as in real estate, strength begins below the surface. In Nigeria, every tower ultimately rests on deeper foundations too. Economic stability, reliable infrastructure, investor confidence, and the belief that growth here can be sustained.
You want to talk about inequality? Just a word on how these properties are expanding and how the rich are just I know it's a luxury thing, you're catering to the top 1%, but
the truth of the matter is that the responsibility of providing low-income housing is actually the responsibility of government, and also to ensure that the mortgages are low, so that people can afford to buy Actually, even if it's entry-level housing for younger people,
Right.
and for public servants, and for farmers, and people in the informal sector.
Yeah.
So the government still has a huge role to play, both at the federal level and the state level, to make sure that low-income housing, low to medium-income housing, affordable housing is available for all Nigerians. Developers who play in the low density, more expensive luxury apartment space actually catering to a very small, tiny niche.
Yeah.
So, and they always have them. But it is these developers that play a huge role in developing cities, in urban renewal, and what have you.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So, okay, up to the beginning now, what are your thoughts on how luxury real estate contributes to a modern city, modern Lagos?
In so many ways. So it's, first and foremost, not only does it show that the city is growing vertically, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the state and municipal governments to also provide the appropriate infrastructure in place. Do you understand me? So developers have to pay so much to the state governments and the municipalities to make sure they are compliant with the laws and what have you. And these payments also enable the state government, especially in Lagos, to build capacity. Like if you look at Lagos State Building Control Agency, even though you say, oh, I'm the physical planning authority, even though you say they are making so much money, but they also have to bring in a lot more engineers, a lot more inspectorate people to ensure that all developers, do you understand, are compliant, to ensure that fewer buildings have issues or collapse in the future or have structural issues. So they have a huge role to enforce compliance. But in addition, the state government has to be up and running in terms of providing the infrastructure. There's so much development moving into places like Eko. We've seen how Eko has transformed over the last 30, 40 years. But in terms of infrastructure, it's not moving at the same pace. I'm not saying Lagos State is not doing anything. Right. It is actually. It's spending so much money in big ticket infrastructure such as the metro lines and what have you. But things like municipal water, right, open sewers, how to keep them clean, they need to do a bit more, to make sure that all these parts of Lagos, be it on the island, be it on the mainland, contribute to making Lagos a much more modern. It's not just about the tall buildings. Right. It's also about the sporting infrastructure that make these cities beautiful, that make them green, that make them clean. Yeah. And also they should do a lot about the security. You can see there are a lot of street urchins all over the place. Especially, yes, they contribute to devaluing the property. You see them on traffic light stops. They pounce on cars and what have you. And so a lot more needs to be done to provide jobs, to take them off the streets. Do you understand me? To take them off the streets, to make Lagos more secure and what have you.
Fantastic. So tell us about your development here and how this is contributing to that, modern Lagos look.
Okay, this I would say is medium sized. In terms of height, compared to what we're seeing. This is just a 13-story development. This is my second. Okay. The first I started when I was still MD of Arise. Yeah. It's a 13-story development which comprises 3-bedroom apartments and 4-bedroom maisonettes, and a very large duplex penthouse. And we hope to finish it. The plan is to finish it in the next 36 months, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Now, as far as your outlook for what luxury real estate could look like in Lagos, yes, earlier you mentioned more, development coming in. Do you see it scaling and expanding as Lagos moves forward? More of these types of properties?
Oh yes, that's what's happening because Lagos, doesn't have that much land.
Right.
It remains the smallest state in the country due to land mass, even though it tries to reclaim some land from the lagoon and the sea. Yeah. But there's a limit to how much you can do that because for environmental reasons. So the only way to go is up.
Right.
The only way to go is up. But in spite of that, Lagos will still have to, it has the potential,
yeah.
Do you understand, to attract more investments into this, into development, even in the low income, even for low income housing. Yeah. Do you understand? We can partner with a lot of developers who are willing to do, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, bungalows and what have you. If we can provide land for developers, yeah. And all this will see to the urbanization of Lagos.
Jackson. Lagos planners face a three-sided challenge. Land is scarce, the population is vast, and the pressure on roads, housing, and infrastructure grows by the day. Yet, officials insist they are winning the battle to make the city more livable.
A modern city starts with planning, proper planning. Planning will show and indicate what you can build in different areas, the number of floors, the density, the usage of the land itself, and most importantly, the infrastructure that should be put in place for that to happen. Now, having that at the back of our minds, let us face the reality of what we have in Lagos. In Lagos, I think development came before planning, technically speaking. But thankfully, in the past, about 3 decades now, we've been very deliberate. From the time of the incumbent president of the country, when he became a governor, he set the tone to reset Lagos from all facets, urban and physical planning, building codes come into play, environmental interventions. And thankfully, that opened up Lagos to what we have today. And successive governors had come to build on that same master plan.
From close up, these developments speak the language of confidence. They are polished, precise, and carefully marketed as symbols of arrival. A new Lagos, cleaner, taller, more ordered. A city reaching for global status and determined to show that ambition in concrete and steel. A skyline under construction, a city in transformation, a restless urban giant trying to remake its own image. What rises here is not just property, it is a vision of the future, financed by investors, designed by architects, sold by developers, and built by thousands of workers. And yet, for all the grandeur of the skyline, the deeper question remains unsolved. What kind of city is being built here? Who is it being built for? And can all this energy, all this capital, all this extraordinary ambition create not just a more impressive Lagos, but a better one?
From up here, Lagos feels almost limitless, a city of cranes, glass, money, pressure, dreams, and extraordinary momentum. The people behind these developments say they are building the Lagos of tomorrow, and in one sense, they clearly are. A new skyline is rising here, and with it, a new image of Nigerian power, ambition, and possibility. But the future of Lagos will not be decided by powers alone. It will be decided by whether this energy, this investment, and this imagination can build not just a more impressive city, but a more livable one. Because the real builders of modern Lagos are not only the men financing these projects or the architects drawing them, they are also the workers raising them, the families navigating the city every day, and the forces of pressure and possibility that drive this city forward.